Hey everybody. This card came across my feed on Facebook a couple days ago, and the owner of this card was attempting to sell it for $525. I believe this card is numbered either to 3 or 5. It's not a 101, but it's definitely an SSP. Really, really nice card, as you can tell. Patches. It's got maybe the four best known legends in NASCAR with Richard Petty, Cale Yarborough, David Pearson, and Darrell Waltrip. And this person had posted it for sale. It had gone 3 or 4 days, no real interest in a Facebook group. And essentially, the person kind of sounded off on he made reference to, I don't understand why people are spending a couple of $100 on a young up and coming driver such as Connor Zilisch, but they won't spend the money that I'm asking for this card. And so I wanted to touch on that in a couple of ways. There's a few reasons why he was having trouble selling the card, and I believe all of those things add up to the frustration or the point that he was at. So I wanted to just touch on that. If you're not familiar with NASCAR at all, in any sport, these are our legends in NASCAR. So think about your legends, retired Hall of Famers in your sport, same kind of thing. But for one, these guys are all retired and have been retired. Their heyday was in the 60s and 70s. Primarily, maybe into the 80s, Darrell Waltrip even maybe early 90s. But these guys, I'm 41 years old, and I didn't get to see these guys race much. Richard Petty was retiring about the year I kind of remember first starting watching NASCAR, which was in 1992. So that just gives you kind of a point of reference. I think a few of the issues, though, that this person's encountering is for a younger generation, the younger card collectors that are, 25 to 30 years old, maybe even younger than that, they never saw any of these guys race. And so they want to collect the drivers that they're familiar with. Same with any other sport. You want to collect the players that you've watched play, because that's who you can relate to and associate with. And maybe you've watched them in person or on TV. It's the same thing with basketball, and why LeBron James is probably more widely collected than a Wilt Chamberlain or Bill Russell. So I think that's part of the problem. Younger generation, it's just by association. It's not because they don't respect who these guys are, but, you collect what you are associated with. Number two, booklets. For me personally, a booklet card like this is tough. I don't love booklet cards. They're a little bit tougher to display, just because of the size. They're a little bit tougher to store because of the size. They do look very, very cool, as you can see, but not my favorite personally. And I think there's some other folks that are in that same boat. Number three, and maybe the most obvious, the person was asking $525, and as I tell people all the time with cards, there's a lot of people in the card hobby that can afford a card that costs anywhere from $5 to $50. Easy. That's a range that almost every collector falls in. Once you get above $50 in value, then you start narrowing down your collector pool based on the cost of the card. This card being $525, you've probably narrowed your buyer pool down by, I'm guessing, at least 50%, if not more. So, a lot of people can buy cards that are $5, $10, $20, $25. Not everybody wants to spend $500 plus on a single card. I can tell you that I've been back in the game since 2019. I think I have a really, really nice card collection. And I've never spent $500 on a card, ever. and nor do I really intend to. So, that's another contributing factor for sure. And I think one of the other things that probably gets overlooked is NASCAR fans are very passionate, just like every other sport. I'm an Ohio State Buckeyes football and all sports fan. I'm an Ohio State fan. I would not want to collect a U of M football player. I wouldn't want anything with those colors or from the team up north in my house. I just don't want it. I don't care what it is, I don't want it in my house. Because I'm such a passionate Buckeye fan. Well, NASCAR fans are the same way. Somebody might have been a Richard Petty fan, but they might have despised David Pearson. Or maybe they were a Darrell Waltrip fan, but despised Cale Yarborough. Or whatever scenario. So if there's one of those four drivers that somebody doesn't like or didn't like, that also is going to narrow the pool greatly. So there's a whole bunch of factors, as I said, and I mentioned to the person, I said, if I were you, when I displayed the card for sale, I would put it in a one-touch magnetic display case so that it's presented nice. It's presented well in this photo, don't get me wrong, but I see it out, it tells me somebody's handling it. To me, anything like that should just stay in a case. There's no reason for it to be out at all. So there's a whole bunch of contributing factors as to why this person's struggling to sell this card, and I think him sounding off on the up-and-coming rookies was the wrong avenue or the wrong take to try to get it sold, but just wanted to touch on it. If you're familiar with the card hobby and different sports, you'll kind of understand where I'm coming from with this. But I think his take on basically saying why are people spending this much on a young guy and not on the legends, it's not as cut and dry as that. There's a whole lot of things that go into it. And the most obvious is not everybody's willing to spend $500 on a sports card, no matter what it is. Didn't mean to necessarily be negative to the person trying to sell it, but he sort of went in a negative direction towards the hobby in general, and so I just wanted to kind of share this take and get some other people's thoughts on it. So sorry, it's kind of a long-winded video, but one of those things that just felt like I needed to get off my chest. So let me know what you guys think.